Hello everybody, I'm Joey, and I'm here to talk about personal computers versus video game consoles. Yeah, an issue I'm both interested in and kinda apathetic about. So here's my thoughts on the issue, and in this video I'm kinda tired and I kinda ramble and, whatever. But if you want to sit back and listen to a guy that's into old video games ramble on about something, sit back, turn on this video, take a nap, and enjoy. I'm gonna start rambling now. Hello everybody, it's early November, so you know what that means? Discount Halloween candy. Discount Halloween candy. Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah. Of course, now I'm talking with my mouth full and just slowed myself down from getting to the point. I really like this stuff. You know, Coffin Crisp is a favorite of mine. I once had someone whom, when we had a relationship, I guess it was defined as lovers and best friends. But then I don't know what the hell we were supposed to call it near the end. Sometimes she'd put aside some Halloween candy and then add it to my Christmas presents when she gave me stuff, which I thought was kind of cool. So I don't even think this Halloween candy is just a Halloween thing. It's just seasonal fun. I like discount. Early November. It's when you get the discount Halloween candy. That's great. That's great. I'm going to rinse it down with some Monster energy drink, which some people out there think is satanic because they're not. Fill myself with caffeine. Perhaps enough caffeine that my mitochondria turn into midi-chlorians, and then I can use the force. Actually, just makes your mitochondria produce more ATP. But yeah, forget the Star Wars joke. Hey, maybe I'll drink so much it'll turn into maxi-chlorons. Now that's an even more esoteric Star Wars joke. Enough of that. I'd rather watch Star Trek anyway. Well, Star Trek Enterprise or Star Trek The Next Generation or Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I'd even settle for Star Trek the original series. Not the J.J. Abrams movies. Those are actually the worst. Oh my god, they're horrible. Actually, Beyond wasn't that bad. But I'm rambling off topic because I'm here to talk about PC versus console video gaming. Personal computers versus consoles. And more recently, well, last few years, I've often heard, I think they sometimes refer to themselves as the PC master race, people saying that consoles are obsolete. You can design your PC to be a custom console, you can plug it into your TV, you can play couch co-op games, you can do anything you want with your personal computer, but they generally say it costs less to go online, and I don't give a shit about online, so I'm not going to touch that. But basically, it's your custom console. You can play just about anything on it, and it's just great. Makes consoles completely obsolete, and you can do so much more with it than just be a video game machine because it's your personal computer and whatever. And they're absolutely right. And they also talk about how it has more powerful graphics and all this is usually the newer PCs, but I really don't care about that remotely. And I also don't really care about online play either. Well, that's right. I mean, a personal computer can be your own personal console that you custom design, your own, whatever your favorite controller is. I'm not a big fan of the PlayStation line of controllers, but I consider them good, but I just don't consider them great. I'd rather the Xbox 360 controller, or preferably the original Xbox controller. Or a Sega Saturn controller. There's like so many controllers out there that I just thought were really great controllers. And you can plug whatever controller you want in the damn thing as long as you have a USB controller or some sort of an adapter. A personal computer is great like that. And for people who really care about the graphics, so generation to generation, I get the difference in graphics, but I mean that's one that I just don't see the point of worrying about. But that said, The graphics were a major selling point that kept pushing the PlayStation 4 to be more successful than the Xbox One. So graphics are an issue too. But I don't really view... I still, to this day, don't necessarily view PC gaming and console gaming to be exactly the same thing. And console gaming still offers me something that PC gaming doesn't. The one thing that's the most important to me. Though this is going away with console gaming, and as this fades away, to me that'll be when console gaming truly becomes obsolete. Consoles still offer you physical media. Consoles are, slowly getting everybody adjusted to digital downloads. But digital downloads, digital distribution has become more accepted amongst PC gaming. Most people go to Steam or whatever and download their games there. I don't. In fact, I probably would become a big PC gamer if there was going to be a big push towards more physical media for the personal computers. I'm kind of rambling off on a point there, but I mean, I recently picked up, well, it's not really super recently, but in the not-so-distant past, I picked up one of the Borderlands games for the personal computer, and it was a physical copy, so I had interest in playing it. But it also disappointed me. In order to install it onto my machine and activate it, I had to go online and unlock it. I don't really like that, because in the future, when that personal computer is barely working and might need a hard drive replacement, or who knows what other problems, I don't know that I'll be able to unlock that game on another machine. And that really bugs me. In fact, especially considering I sometimes prefer to use older personal computers for playing video games and so forth. I don't really care about getting the newest. Well, I kind of like getting the new games that are out right now. But if I'm not going to be able to play them when they get older, I still might pick up my shiny gold Legend of Zelda cartridge and stick it in the Nintendo Entertainment System and play it. And if something malfunctions with that cartridge, well, that's just that cartridge. Or if my Nintendo Entertainment System malfunctions, that's just the Nintendo Entertainment System. It's just one piece of hardware lost. But with digital distribution, they've made sure that the copy protection made it so you don't own it at all, and it's just a rental. And I don't like that. I want... When I get a movie, I prefer DVD and Blu-ray over VHS because they're a more durable technology. Granted, they can be scratched, but they're not. If you take good care of them, literally centuries later, they should be fine. A VHS tape, the magnetic media is going to decay over the decades. It's not going to hold up as well. So that's one of the things I like about DVD discs. I still have old VHS cassettes though, but at least, if the VCR broke and I buy another used one somewhere, I can still say, hey, look at this old VHS tape. You know what? I'm going to go watch this VHS copy of whatever the hell was on the thing, It's not a media that I'd suggest that, I'm not going to suggest companies go out there and make brand new VCRs, but the thing is, if there's VCRs out there to be purchased used, and you have a VCR or two in your house, one VCR malfunctioning isn't going to stop you from playing those really old tapes, and video cassettes aren't a big issue for people nowadays, but movies are, and I don't trust Netflix to keep a movie. I watched partway through Man of Steel, because it started off the new DC universe, or the new DC cinematic universe, or it's supposed to. I really don't know what they're doing with that franchise. But anyway, I started to watch it. I didn't get all that into it, but I wanted to watch the whole thing. And I was interested enough to finish the movie, but I stopped. I stopped partway, and I thought I'd get back to it later. Then when I went back to Netflix later, they no longer had that movie. They probably have it back now again, but Netflix gains and loses things. I want a physical copy of things. You used to buy a disc or a cartridge. You bought something, and the media on it, yeah, the media was a copyright of somebody else, but that they put it on that cartridge or disc, and it was the reason to sell that cartridge or disc, but you bought that cartridge or disc with it, and And consoles, as much as consoles have adapted to digital distribution, consoles are still offering physical media. The personal computer does too, but it's a lot less. It's a lot less, and I suppose there's more and more creative ways you could back up things. So there is that, but for me there is one reason to respect consoles more than personal computers, and that's just the direction that the video game market is going. And while I think it's going in a bad direction for both, I think consoles are holding on to the one thing that I respect about the video game market, or one of the most important things to me about the video game market. They're holding on to that a little bit better than the PC market is. So that's just my thoughts on why I kind of still prefer consoles over personal computers. And let's face it, each console is kind of its own format. The Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo were both awesome, but one was a little bit different than the other. And I loved them both. The Sega CD was awesome. I loved, like, those are some of my favorite video game systems. I loved those. And at that time, I would definitely take console gaming over personal computer gaming, even though personal computers didn't take them long to become more powerful than the Sega Genesis, than the Super Nintendo, than the Sega CD as those consoles came out. But the personal computers often were more sloppy. Even if you had more things you could do, it was always press this on the keyboard and press that on the keyboard at the same time as this and that. Not all games were like that, but so many were. Personal computer gaming in its early days was, to me, something that was often very sloppy, while the console gaming was always streamlined to work well with the video game controller. And of course that changed with time. But, I don't know, consoles always seem to offer a specific format. I loved the Xbox, the original one, and the Xbox 360. I enjoyed the PlayStation 2 and the PlayStation 3. I loved the original PlayStation. You know, there's certain things about consoles that I kind of like, that they give you a specific... I don't know, it's kind of like when you... If you were to collect Mega Man games, I kind of like collecting one for the Sega Genesis, because there was actually a Mega Man game for well, Mega Drive is where you get the physical copy, because they didn't want to release a physical copy in North America, but whatever. You could get your Sega version of the game, you could get a couple cartridges for the Nintendo Entertainment System, and it's kind of good to have them, put them together. It's like, oh, there's my physical collection of Mega Man games. Now, I kind of like that about collecting for the console. So consoles are kind of something more for collectors. But the average person isn't doing collecting exactly. They just want to buy the games and play them, and very often play them again later. I've bought games where I didn't get around to playing it, put it aside, and it's been years later when I actually first got around to playing a game, which seems kind of wasteful. It's like, well, what'd you buy it for? I mean, you could have bought it later. It's like, yeah, but I bought it and I eventually played it. If I have a game that's 10 years old, I want to still be able to play it, you know, 10 years later, and then 10 years after that. And to me, it's a bit of a rip-off to know that a format is designed specifically to be against that. And that's basically what I'm saying, is consoles, by accident or intention, I think it's mostly just accident. I think PC gaming just has more adapted to the future, which will be digital distribution. You know, and consoles have held on to something that many gamers, I think... Okay, there was an edit point for technical reasons, but personally, I think the PC gaming market has adapted to the future, but it's not necessarily an aspect of the future that's positive for video gamers who want to buy a video game and still play it 10 years, 20 years, 30 years later. It's adapting to a disposable future. So that's why I myself am more motivated to hang on to console gaming than really push forward with PC gaming. That said, new consoles didn't do a whole lot for me. I'm debating whether to pick up an Xbox One S or a Nintendo Switch in the near future. And I think I kind of prefer the Xbox One. I never bothered with the PlayStation 4. I'll get one eventually. But, you know, my most advanced consoles are the Nintendo Wii U, plus the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. I just didn't bother to go beyond that. Yeah, I got a Nintendo 3DS, but it's not a new 3DS. It's a plain old regular 3DS. You know, I just didn't bother to upgrade. But my computers, I don't really buy the newest, most powerful computer either. I just want a computer that has some sort of optical drive that I can stick old DVDs in it. And maybe if I want to burn off a file onto some sort of media, that optical drive, that's just permanently there. I want that. I want that. I want an optical drive in my computer, so I'm more likely to get a basic laptop. But that basic laptop could be a perfectly fine substitute for a video game console. Plug it into a television, you know, plug in your favorite controller. But like I said, I'm gonna continue to gravitate more towards the console market. Now that said, despite all the video game crap I'm always buying, I haven't bought myself a. Well, I had a high-definition television that kind of burnt out. It was a great high-definition television. It actually worked great with older video games. You know how some people say they don't show up well on the newer screens and there's like screen lag and crap like that. It actually handled that really well. Did both NTSC and PAL. You could even plug in old RF cables into the damn thing and it worked just fine with that. Plus it was, you know, contemporary high definition. It was a great little LG television. Made me respect the LG brand name, and I also had an LG cell phone for like literally a decade. I got it in 2007, and I only stopped using it as my main cell phone this year because I just wanted something with a touch screen. You know, it was about time for me to upgrade a decade. But you know, I developed respect for that brand name. But I don't know, there could be better stuff out there. I'm not telling you to buy that in particular. I'm just saying that it's like, wow, this is actually good. They make good crap, you know. But anyway, you know, it was a kind of an older television eventually. I think just the capacitor went in it, so probably something that you could take apart, solder in a new capacitor, and probably be fine. But I don't know. But anyway, yeah, after my HD television burnt out, I mostly and preferably play video games with old cathode ray tube televisions, even the somewhat newer stuff. And I actually have set it up so I can convert HDMI signals into that old school whatever. And I find new televisions actually are great. They're fine. I love that you can get up close to them and get the higher resolution. But I found it was only within the last couple years I actually found the high definition televisions were something I liked as much as the old cathode ray tube televisions. Because the cathode ray tube televisions, they had contrast. They were distinct, you know. They might not have, if you got up close and looked at the picture really in their close and at the pixels, they might have been a little bit fuzzier or significantly fuzzier. But they had contrast, you know, you could really see what was on the screen. You didn't have to be on the perfect angle with them, and reflections in the room didn't mess with them as much. I love that about old cathode ray tube televisions, and it's actually one of the reasons why I was kind of reluctant to move forward with high definition televisions. Is I don't really care about the high definition aspect. I want the distinct contrast, you know, that the dark stuff in the background is still kind of bright, you know, that you can really see it, and you know, I don't know. But anyway, I'm getting off topic there. But yeah, I mean, my technology is very biased towards old and retro stuff, and that's fine. And I accept that the market has moved on quite a bit. But that's another reason why newer consoles aren't really for me, is I don't care about high definition. And it would almost be a nuisance for me to set up my personal space for that sort of thing. Though there's a perfectly fine high definition television right in the living room, over that way and around the corner. You know, over that way. You know, fairly decent high definition television anyway. You know, it's good enough. Yeah. Yeah, that could be used, but it's like the living room television, not the television I normally use for video games. Blah blah blah. Whatever. Anyway, so the Nintendo Switch actually having its own screen and being semi-portable is kind of the, I don't know, I actually like that. And that's another thing about consoles, is consoles became basically limited PCs. You know, you can't, of course the phone's going to ring. I'm doing something with the camera, of course. The telephone, one of my least favorite objects in the house. Actually, I like the telephone. It's a perfectly fine piece of technology. It's just so inconvenient, you know, I'm tempted to just unplug it. Anyway, what was I saying? I was rambling and ranting and getting off topic. But yeah, personally for me, like I'm saying, my bias towards what's good for the video game market, I lean towards retro gaming. I was very happy to move on to compact discs and DVD discs and Blu-ray discs. I absolutely had to have an HD DVD player, especially when I knew that format was going to become obsolete and die off fast. I just wanted to have it, so I had access to it. It was something a little bit different. I love that, but let's face it, your personal computer is the device you can go on the internet with, you can do everything with, and blah, 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 whatever. Whatever you want. Whatever you want, you can do with your personal computer. And it can cover everything your video game console did. So I do totally understand why people think of the console market as obsolete. And people thought that after the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3, we progressed to a point where personal computers became so adaptable and versatile and useful that the console market would just go away. But then people bought Xbox Ones, and even more so bought huge numbers of PlayStation 4s. They just couldn't stop buying them up. They're like Pringles. Once you pop, you can't fucking stop, you know? It's like, holy fuck, PlayStation. Let's face it, if it wasn't for PlayStation, Sony would be fucking well out of business. Oh, wait, YouTube's monetization. I probably shouldn't curse. Damn it. Oh, fuck. Yeah, the console market, well, is anybody still watching? I mean, I've just been rambling on, but I might as well finish this off if anybody's still watching. No, the consoles have sold really, really great. Everybody has a reason to get a PC, and, you know, wouldn't it stand to reason that PCs are going to become the be-all everything, and that these devices just dedicated to playing video games that you plug into your television would become kind of obsolete when you can do all that with your personal computer? Well, kind of, but at the same time, remember what spawned the personal computers, becoming the main thing everybody needed in their house, was kind of everybody wanted to be on the internet. Access to the internet became like having television and cable television and a telephone, you know, was this thing that you just had to have. I mean, how could you be without the internet in this day and age? Or 10 years ago, and it was like 20 years ago, it's like, yeah, you pretty much had to have the internet, or you're getting towards that point that if you didn't, 20 years ago, if you're getting towards that point where if you didn't have the internet, you wanted the internet. I mean, it was just something everybody had to have, like television was just part of the world and culture. It had caught on, it had become mainstream, you know, so everybody had to have a computer. But they say that computer sales aren't really the big important thing they used to be. And there's kind of a reason for that. And just a second here. Alright, I'm back. I grabbed and picked something up. Yeah, you just heard a phone ring earlier, and it was a landline phone. I happen to live in a place where you get great cell phone service off in that direction. You get great cell phone service off in that direction. The cell phone towers, about 40 kilometers direction that way. The next cell phone tower is about 40 kilometers drive away in that direction. And right here in the middle in between, the coverage is horrible. So, you know, I'm pretty dependent on a landline for outside communication. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to comment on the cell phone. You see, now everybody has one of these little bastards here. Nothing wrong with that. It's a great little device. I like playing around with it. But this iPhone here, or the Android equivalent, and I don't care about brand names. I got an iPhone simply because I never had an Apple product at all before. That device, you can go on the internet, you can all these apps that are actually designed for it. I mean, if I go onto Twitter, I use my computer for that. But that was really designed around cell phones. More and more things are designed around cell phones now than just internet browsing. And just as laptops are kind of phasing out desktops, even that, I mean, tablets and cell phones are kind of phasing out that. And as they get more powerful, perhaps they also could be phasing out consoles and computers both. But maybe not. Maybe as people less and less get dependent on the old desktop tower computers and their laptop computers, maybe that means some people will continue with the console because the main computer isn't going to be as important to them as one of these devices here, you know. does the stuff they used to do on the computer. So it's hard to say for sure. We might end up with that one device that does everything, a personal computer that is also your gaming console. That could be the future. But then again, I mean, these things here are doing a lot of the stuff that we used to do with our personal computers. And I don't just mean cell phones, I also mean tablets too, which kind of, you know, it's kind of a cell phone that doesn't work as a phone, just bigger. You know, that is kind of phasing out the personal computer. It's not completely wiping it out, because as much as any one of these devices kind of look like or act like they're supposed to do everything, each one has a specialty. Each one is its own unique thing, and I kind of get the impression that cell phones are taking a bit away from the personal computer market, which kind of, in my mind, kind of makes me think it reduces the possibility that the personal computer will be the be-all, one-all device for personal computing and video games. I just feel as though that if not for this, the dynamic would be biased even more towards the personal computer being that one ultimate device for video games and home entertainment. But I think everything's going to be specialized a little bit, and a specialized console that's limited for video games, I think there is still going to be a market for that for quite a while, until something else shakes up the balance. And like I said, I think personal computers did slowly encompass everything a video game system was. I mean, we're not dealing with the era of Pong or Atari 2600 or Commodore 64 anymore. We're dealing with a whole new era of evolution of video game and computer technologies. I think the I think personal computers would have, you know, like I said, encompassed everything probably fairly soon. If not that this came along and kind of, you know, kind of altered the balance a little bit, and kind of making it a three-way split for your personal entertainment devices of the future. But that said, a lot of people hate mobile gaming, and I don't blame them. But, you know, some games with cell phones are kind of cool. But there you go. There's my thoughts. Personal computer versus console. I don't care. I just hope that consoles hold on to physical media for a while.
I'm going to finish this with my cell phone now that I'm talking about cell phones and how that is a little bit of a game changer.
Okay, the video's over. You might as well check out another one of my videos.